Everyone talks about being great, but what truly separates the ones who rise from the ones who stay stuck is one simple habit showing up consistently, not once, not twice, but every single day when it's exciting, and when it's boring, when things are moving, and when nothing is happening. Consistency is the heartbeat of success. It's not the loud moments that make you win, it's the quiet ones where no one's clapping, and yet you still show up and give your best anyway, because you understand something most people don't. The outcome is shaped in the process, not in the spotlight. So many people start strong but lose their fire when results don't come fast. They want change, but they're not willing to stay through the stretch. They say they want to win, but when the path gets slow, when life doesn't reward them right away, they start cutting corners, skipping days, quitting halfway. But those who know the truth keep showing up, not because they feel like it, but because they're committed to something bigger than mood or motivation. They understand that the work you do in silence is what makes the noise later, and the things you repeat every day become the life you live. Success doesn't happen in one moment. It happens in 100 invisible ones, stacked one after the other. Every early morning you push through, every rep you finish, every time you sit down to learn when you'd rather scroll. Every single action matters, and over time those actions turn into habits, and those habits turn into your future. People don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they stop too soon. Consistency builds patience, and patience keeps you from falling apart when things don't go your way, because deep down you know you're still moving forward, you're still planting seeds, even if the harvest hasn't come yet. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be present. People think they need to feel inspired every day to keep going, but inspiration fades, discipline lasts. You don't build success by working only when you're in the mood. You build it by doing what's necessary, even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged, even when no one is watching, especially then, because those are the moments that test your vision and your values. And if you can stay locked in, then you're already ahead of most. The secret is in the small things, the way you wake up and push yourself to follow through, the way you don't skip steps even when no one would know, the way you keep your promises to yourself when it's tempting to give up. Those habits become who you are, and when you keep stacking them day after day, they start turning into something powerful. They turn into results, into growth, into a level of confidence you can't fake because it's been earned. Consistency doesn't mean doing everything perfectly. It means doing something regularly. It means staying on the path even when you don't see the end. It means trusting the process even when the progress is slow. And that trust is what builds resilience, because now you're not living based on what feels good. You're living based on what's right for your goals. And that shift is what transforms everything. You become the type of person who finishes what they start, who keeps their word, who doesn't need hype to move forward, because you built the habit of showing up for yourself. The hardest part about success is not starting, it's staying. And most people don't lose because they weren't talented. They lose because they got tired and gave up. Consistency teaches you that tired doesn't mean done, that slow doesn't mean stuck, that quiet doesn't mean wasted. It shows you that everything counts, even the days that feel ordinary. And when you learn to value those days, you stop waiting for perfect timing, and you start becoming a person of purpose. And that's when real change happens, not overnight, but over time, with effort, with discipline, with patience, stacked in silence. The ones who win are not always the loudest or the fastest. They're the ones who stay in the game long enough to grow into their success, not because they got lucky, but because they got consistent, because they built the muscle of doing the work without excuses, without drama, without needing applause, because deep down they knew success isn't a mystery, it's a method. And consistency is the method that always works. If you keep going, focus is a weapon in a world full of noise, distractions, opinions, and endless options. It's easy to get pulled in 100 directions without ever making progress on the one thing that truly matters. Success doesn't come to the one who tries to do everything. It comes to the one who learns how to lock in on what matters most and keep their eyes there even when everything around them is trying to pull them off track. Real focus isn't about intensity for a moment, it's about intentionality over time. It's about choosing clarity over chaos, choosing depth over speed, choosing the long game over the quick fix. Most people don't lose because they're not talented. They lose because they're scattered. They start something with energy and fire, but then jump to something new the moment it feels hard, or the moment they get bored. They confuse motion with movement, being busy doesn't mean you're building. Being focused does when you can center your mind and your actions around one mission, one direction, one purpose. Your power multiplies and your steps become aligned. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters with full attention and full heart. Discipline and focus go hand in hand. Because it takes discipline to protect your focus. It's easy to say yes to everything and everyone. It's hard to say no to what steals your time, your energy, your purpose. The real strength is not in doing more, but in cutting out what doesn't belong, trimming the distractions, setting boundaries around your peace, and guarding your vision like it's sacred, because it is. Every goal needs attention to grow, and the more scattered your attention, the slower your growth. Focus requires sacrifice. You'll have to give up what looks good now for what's right long term. You'll have to miss out on some fun to build something meaningful. You'll have to be misunderstood when others don't see your vision yet. But that's the price of real success, and only those who are focused enough to pay it get to experience the reward others only dream about. When you stay focused, you stop letting temporary emotions lead permanent decisions. You stop chasing every new idea and start pouring yourself into the one that truly matters. Focused people move different. They don't get thrown off by every opinion. They don't chase validation. They don't need the world to understand what they're doing. They just keep working quietly with patience and grit until the results start speaking louder than any words ever could. And that kind of focus doesn't come from pressure. It comes from purpose. It comes from knowing what you're building and why it matters. When your focus is clear, your actions follow. Your energy stops leaking into distractions. Your emotions stop being controlled by outside noise. And your progress becomes consistent, even if it's slow, because you're not wasting time starting over every other week. You're building with stability. You're growing with direction. And that makes your foundation unshakable. The world may try to shake you, but when you're focused, you can't be moved. You can be tested, but not broken, delayed, but not denied. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right thing with full attention. Don't let social media fool you into thinking you have to move fast to succeed. The real winners are not the busiest, they're the most focused, the ones who say, "This is where I'm going and nothing is pulling me off this path." The ones who eliminate the distractions, protect their priorities, and put their head down until the goal becomes real. So train your focus every day. Cut out what's not helping you. Sharpen your vision. Stay locked in on your purpose. And don't look left or right. Your greatest breakthroughs will not come from doing more. They'll come from focusing more, because in that focus your effort compounds, your patience strengthens, and your success becomes inevitable, not because of chance, not because of hype, but because of quiet, unwavering, locked-in work over time, without giving up, without getting lost, without losing sight of what truly matters. Most people want success fast. They want results now. They want the reward without waiting for the process. But the truth is, success is not built on quick wins. It's built on patience and delayed gratification. The ones who make it are not always the most talented or the most connected. They're the ones who can resist the urge for immediate comfort, because they understand what they want long term is more valuable than what feels good right now. Every time you choose long term vision over short term pleasure, you're making a deposit in your future success. Doesn't respond to speed, it responds to strategy, discipline, and endurance. There are moments in the journey when nothing seems to be happening. You've been working, you've been showing up, and the results still feel far away. That's when most people give up, because they were only committed if it was quick, but not if it was quiet. They thought success would be fast and exciting, but real growth is slow and invisible at first. You have to be able to sit in the waiting season and keep going without seeing the reward right away. Delayed gratification teaches you to stay steady while life tests your patience. It teaches you to be loyal to your vision even when your emotions want to run. People chase comfort because it's easy, it's available, and it feels good in the moment. But that same comfort is what steals discipline, kills focus, and delays growth. Success asks you to pay now and enjoy later, while the world teaches you to enjoy now and pay later with regret. When you learn how to delay gratification, you start making different choices. You stop wasting time proving your worth to people who don't matter. You stop chasing short cuts. You stop feeding habits that feel good now but cost you everything later. You Start asking yourself, will this move bring me closer to who I want to become, or just make me feel better for a moment? The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck is the ability to delay gratification, the ones who can train in silence while others are distracted, the ones who can study while others scroll, the ones who can build while others sleep. These are the people who create real change in their lives, not because they had more, but because they managed their moments better. They understood that the temporary pain of discipline is lighter than the long-term weight of regret. So they chose patience over comfort. Every time there is power in saying not now to what tempts you, not because you're denying yourself, but because you're choosing to invest in your future. It's about control, not punishment. It's about self-respect, not sacrifice. When you can walk away from easy things that steal your time and energy, you become unstoppable, because now you're not just reacting to life, you're designing it. You're becoming the kind of person who can handle success, not just wish for it. And that shift is everything. The reason most goals fail is because people expect the result too quickly. They want the finish line after the first step, and when they don't get it, they quit. But the truth is, greatness takes time. There is no shortcut to building something real, no hack for mastering your craft, no quick fix for character. You have to do the work and wait for the result. And waiting builds you just as much as the working does. It's in the waiting that your belief gets tested and your mind set gets strengthened. Every time you delay gratification, you're proving to yourself that your future is more important than your feelings, that your goals matter more than your impulses. And that's how confidence is built, not through comfort, but through self-control, through the quiet decision to stay patient and stay working, even when nothing is happening on the surface. Because deep down you know every seed you plant will grow if you keep watering it with discipline. Success isn't just about talent or ambition. It's about being able to delay the reward until you've earned it. It's about staying in the game long enough to win. And that takes patience, it takes maturity, it takes the strength to say not yet to the world and yes to your future. And if you can do that, you'll become the kind of person who doesn't just chase success, but attracts it through who you've become while you waited, worked, and refused to quit. Failure is the part most people fear, but it's also the part that teaches you what no victory ever could. Most people see failure as the end, but those who understand success know that failure is the beginning, the middle, and sometimes even the turning point. Every person who has ever built something great has failed, not once, not twice, but over and over. The difference is they didn't stop there. They looked at the loss and asked what it could teach them. They saw every mistake not as proof that they were unworthy, but as a message that they had more to learn. The truth is, failure strips away the illusion. It removes ego. It humbles you and forces you to look at what needs to be better. It brings your weaknesses to the surface and gives you a chance to strengthen them. If you avoid failure, you avoid growth. If you run from discomfort, you run from development. Learning from failure means sitting with it, not escaping it. It means taking responsibility instead of making excuses. It means being honest with yourself, not to feel ashamed, but to feel empowered to do better next time. Success is not made in perfect plans, it's made in messy progress. The road is full of mistakes, wrong turns, and unexpected setbacks, and each of them holds a lesson if you're willing to learn it. Some of the best wisdom comes from the worst days. The growth you get from pain lasts longer than anything you get from praise. That's why you need to develop the habit of reflecting, not just reacting after failure. Don't ask why me, ask what now. Don't ask what went wrong, ask what needs to be stronger. This mindset builds resilience, because now you're not afraid to fall. You're focused on rising better. When you treat failure like a teacher, you stop fearing it and start using it. Most people fail once and quit because they were chasing the outcome, not the process. They wanted the win without the work. But the ones who keep going after falling are the ones who fall in love with learning. Every setback becomes a setup for the next break. Through every rejection becomes redirection. Every breakdown becomes a build up. When you decide to look deeper instead of giving up, the key is not to take failure personal. It's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of your method. When you fail, it doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means you have more to figure out, and that's okay. That's how growth works. Nothing great is built on the first try. No masterpiece is created without drafts. No champion rises without being knocked down. The difference is that winners are willing To be humbled because they know humility is the foundation of excellence. The patience to learn from failure comes from understanding that the process is bigger than any one moment. If you stay long enough, you'll realize that failure isn't permanent unless you make it that way. It can either be a wall or a window, a block or a bridge. The choice is always yours, and when you choose to see it as feedback, you remove its power to defeat you and turn it into a tool that sharpens you, that strengthens your focus, that realigns your purpose. Real growth is built on reflection. If you're not willing to study your losses, you'll repeat them, but if you're honest enough to admit where you went wrong and strong enough to adjust, you're already on your way to the next level. Success comes to those who keep learning even after falling, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard, because the hard moments shape character, the tough lessons build mental toughness, and without that you can't hold on to success. Even if it comes, you don't have to love failure, but you do have to respect it. You have to understand it's part of the game, and if you're not failing, you're probably not aiming high enough. You're playing it safe and playing it small. The path to success is full of setbacks, but every time you rise after one, you become a little wiser, a little stronger, a little more unshakable. And when you do that enough times, you realize failure wasn't there to stop you, it was there to shape you into the person who doesn't need luck to win, because they've built their success through patience and heart earned lessons learned along the way. Discipline is not something you wake up with, it's something you build day by day, choice by choice. It's not about being in the mood, it's about being in control. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who do. It's the invisible force that keeps you on track when distractions surround you. It's easy to be motivated when everything is going right, when you feel good and the path is smooth. But what do you do when you're tired, when no one's watching, when the process gets heavy? That's where discipline steps in and takes over. When you train yourself to stay committed no matter how you feel, you start to shift your identity. You stop being someone who only moves when it's convenient, and you become someone who keeps showing up because it's necessary, and that shift is everything. Success doesn't come from doing what's easy, it comes from doing what's required, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you're doubting, even when nothing around you gives you a reason to keep going. People who master discipline understand that feelings are temporary, but outcomes are permanent, so they don't give their future away just to feel better for a moment. Every small act of discipline adds up. Waking up on time, choosing to study when others sleep, saying no to distractions, doing the extra reps, finishing what you start, keeping your word even when it's inconvenient. Those choices don't make noise, but they build power. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you gain trust in who you are, you gain control over your direction. And the more you do that, the more unstoppable you become, because now you're no longer waiting for inspiration. You become self-driven. Discipline doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for consistency, not once, not twice, but every single time. It asks you to put your goals ahead of your habits, your future ahead of your excuses, your values ahead of your emotions. When you can live that way, you become dangerous, not because you have all the answers, but because you won't back down. You'll keep showing up long after others have given up. And that's what sets you apart, not talent, not luck, but the ability to stay with it through every high and every low. There's a kind of peace that comes with discipline, because now you're not being pulled in every direction by impulse or emotion. You're grounded, you're focused, you're clear. And that clarity gives you power. The world is filled with distractions. Everyone wants your attention, but not everyone deserves your attention. And if you give your energy to everything, you'll have nothing left for the things that actually matter. Discipline helps you say no to what's easy, so you can say yes to what's meaningful. Sometimes discipline looks like sacrifice, giving up what feels good now, so you can earn something better later. Sometimes it looks like repetition, doing the same things over and over until they become part of you. Sometimes it looks like silence, doing the work without telling the world, just building quietly until the results speak loud enough on their own. And sometimes discipline means going against the crowd, walking the hard path while others take the shortcuts, choosing growth over comfort, purpose over popularity. You don't need to be the most gifted, you just need to be the most committed. People underestimate how far discipline can take them because it doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't get instant praise, but it's the most powerful skill you can build, because once you have discipline, you can apply it anywhere in your relationships, your career, your health, your dreams. Discipline is the foundation that turns ordinary into extraordinary. And here's the truth: discipline is freedom. The more you practice it, the more in control of your life you become. It's not about being strict, it's about being strategic. It's not about being hard on yourself, it's about being loyal to your vision. Because if you don't build the discipline to stay the course, life will always find a reason to pull you off track. And the ones who win are not the ones who had the easiest path. They're the ones who refuse to quit, the ones who said, I will stay with this. I will honor the process, I will give everything and take nothing for granted. That is the heart of true success, built not in noise, but in quiet, strong, daily discipline. Your circle determines your ceiling. The people you surround yourself with either sharpen your focus or blur your vision. No one succeeds alone, and no one fails alone. The company you keep speaks to your mindset, to your standards, to your level of belief in what's possible. Success is not just about talent or hard work. It's also about environment. When you walk with people who push you, who hold you accountable, who inspire you to keep growing, you naturally rise. But when you stay around those who complain, settle, waste time, and stay stuck, you get pulled into the same pattern. The truth is, energy is contagious. If you spend time with people who make excuses, you start making them too. If your friends take shortcuts, you begin to think that's normal. If no one in your circle talks about goals, discipline, growth, then eventually neither will you. That's why you have to choose your environment with intention, because your goals are too important to be surrounded by people who don't support them. You need people in your life who remind you of who you said you want to be, not the ones who enable your comfort zone, not the ones who nod along while you drift, but the ones who challenge you to show up better, who ask hard questions. Don't let you forget your why even when it gets tough. That's real support, and real support doesn't always feel easy. It feels honest, it feels like pressure, but that's how diamonds are formed, not in comfort, but under pressure. Sometimes the biggest shift in your life will come from letting go of wrong people so you can make space for the right ones. This doesn't mean you think you're better than anyone. It means you've decided to take your life seriously. It means your dreams matter enough that you can't afford to keep entertaining relationships that drain you, distract you, or keep you small. If someone doesn't respect your vision, they don't need access to your energy. And if someone constantly talks you out of your goals, they are not your friend, they're your limitation. Success leaves clues, and successful people surround themselves with others who are also focused, driven, disciplined, build each other up. They share ideas, they hold each other accountable. They don't gossip about others, they talk about growth, goals, strategy, impact. That's the environment that feeds your purpose. That's the space where iron sharpens iron, where discipline becomes the norm, where winning becomes the standard. You have to protect your peace, and that means being intentional with access. Everyone shouldn't have access to your mind, to your time, to your emotional space. When you're building something, you need clarity, and you can't get clarity if your circle is full of noise. If you constantly have to defend your dream to people who don't get it, eventually you'll start doubting it yourself. So guard your environment like your future depends on it, because it does. Make it a habit to check your circle regularly. Ask yourself, who's pouring into me, who's challenging me, who's reminding me of my goals? And also ask who's draining me, who's distracting me, who's making it harder to stay focused, and then make the necessary changes, because no amount of loyalty is worth sacrificing your potential. Not everyone is meant to go where you're going, and that's okay. Your journey requires alignment, not attachment. Build a circle of people who don't just celebrate your wins, but also show up when you're struggling. People who speak life into your vision when you feel like giving up. People who lead by example, who are disciplined in their own lives, who don't just talk motivation but live it through consistency and integrity. These are the kind of relationships that elevate you, not just emotionally, but practically. They push you to stay focused, to stay patient, to keep working even when it's hard. If you can create that kind of circle, one built on truth, on accountability, on shared values, then success becomes not just possible but inevitable, because now you're no longer doing it alone. You've built a system of support that reflects the life you're trying to build. And when your circle aligns with your goals, your progress multiplies, your mindset sharpens, and your journey becomes lighter, because you're walking it with people who are also moving forward, choosing growth over comfort every day, by design, not by chance, not by luck, but by patient, disciplined, intentional choice.